Hi everyone, hope you're doing well today. I have 6 thrift flips for you, and I'm going to be using the new Alchemy. It's a chalk style paint by Fusion, and it's new. They have 24 different colors that have come out. And what we're going to do first is I have these ceramic plaques that I've had hanging in my kitchen forever, and I'm going to be painting those, and we're going to be using terracotta in the new Alchemy colors. They come in two sizes, 4.05 ounces, and then they come in as 16.9 ounces. So those are the sizes. I love the 4 ounce. I think it's just the perfect size. 2 ounces or close to it is really kind of too small, I think. And I think the paints dry up a lot in smaller containers like that. So I do like that they do the 4 ounces. And then, of course, the 16.9 is great because if you're going to paint like a small piece of furniture, that would work for that. So I cleaned it off with some alcohol, and now I'm just taking the terracotta and putting it right on to these directly. I did not put any type of primer on this at all. Normally, that's what I would do. I would put a spray primer on it, but I'm not doing it in this case because this video is going to be all about me trying out the new Fusion Alchemy. And guys, I am just trying all this out for myself as we're doing this video because my shipment got lost somewhere for like 2 weeks. So I just got it. And yeah, so I'm playing with it for the first time in this video. So I went over the whole thing. I wanted to see how well it would adhere to this. And I am deciding that I want to go ahead and put some texture on this. I added some salt wash. Salt wash is a texture additive, and it will also help bind your paint to whatever surface you're putting it on as well. But I can say at this point, this is a very, very good quality chalk paint. It's got obviously a lot of pigment in it, because that right, what you see there is just one coat. And now I'm doing the second coat with the salt wash in it. And as I said, salt wash is a texture additive, but it also helps your paint stick to whatever surface that you're doing. And I'm actually stippling this on. I'm adding an little extra paint because I don't want it super, super thick, but I am wanting it to, in the end, have some texture because I want this to look like genuine terracotta when I'm done. And this is a great way to take some of those pieces that we had in the 90s, maybe in 2010, who knows. But all of those pieces that were popular then, we can remake them. And terracotta is really big right now. So after I put my 2 coats on, this is what it looks like. And you could leave it alone right there. But I am taking Fusion's liming wax. It's a white wax. I love Fusion's waxes because they're super fluffy and wonderful and buttery. So I'm going to go over this whole thing, and I have not put down a clear coat or anything first. I haven't sealed the terracotta because I want a lot of this to go on there, and this is going to seal the paint. Now, they do not say that this technically has a sealer in it, but it says you do not have to seal it, unless it's going to get a lot of wear. So it definitely does not have the type of sealer that the regular Fusion mineral paint has, but you can tell it has something in it that makes it stick, and you don't have to worry about reactivating it. So anyway, this will also seal it, and I would possibly always seal my piece anyway, but I will show you later why I do think it has something in it that kind of seals it to where you don't have to worry about reactivating it when it cures. So after I put my white wax on, I'm going to be wiping it all off just about, except for, you know, the parts that stick. And that's one reason why we put the texture in there, is we wanted some of that white wax to fit in all of that texture. And I'm just going to wipe it back, and especially over the high parts on this.
Sun is shining bright. Pack your bags, let's go. Feel the summer light. Chasing dreams, you know. Waves are calling now. Sand beneath our feet. Find.
So now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of cleaning up the back a little bit. I'm keeping things for myself, but I just thought I'd show you. I just took my sanding tool and sanded off the back. And I pulled off the rope that was on there before. It was just a white rope, in case you didn't notice. And I'm just putting some of this rope that I got from the Dollar Tree. I think it'll match the new style of this now. And I'm just putting some hot glue on there and just kind of putting it on the edges. And I'm using that rope to do it with the edges of the other piece I'm going to put on, because I don't want to touch it. It's very hot. It has another hanger on it. You definitely could just hang it with that, but I'm probably going to hang it by this rope, because it was hanging with the rope before. And y'all are going to be seeing me do a lot of updates in my house. Little things that I have that I need to update. Anyway, this is how they turned out. I think they look very updated, and definitely look like genuine terracotta.
Magic never fades with each step we made. Oh, we're flying high underneath the sky. Summer nights and days in so many ways. Oh, we're flying high.
Okay, so project number 2, I have this beautiful decoupage paper, and it has a kind of a moody look to it. And I have a just a inexpensive little canvas board that I bought. I believe I got this at Michael's at some point or other. And I am going to be decoupaging this onto that canvas board. I love to use the canvas boards, or even, you know, even the stretch canvas for decoupage paper. It gives it a very kind of a painted look, because it takes on the texture of the canvas. So I put a strip on top to start with, and now I'm going to go over the rest of it and put my decoupage paper down. And I'm just going to kind of smooth it with my hand to start with. This is rice paper, so it doesn't really wrinkle that much at all. And it's pretty easy to use. It's not, it doesn't tear very easily, and it's a great way to inexpensively do artwork, as with the rice papers. I have quite a bit that I am going to be putting into some of those frames I thrifted. If you haven't seen that video, you need to check that out. I got quite a few frames, so I need to do something with them. And also, I will say that artwork is my #1 seller in my booth. So now I have a baggie, and I'm going over the whole thing after I made sure I had it all down on all the corners and whatever. And what that does is it smooths it down. Your hands are coarse, and you can rub it too much with your hands. It's almost like sandpaper, so you don't want to do that. It is paper. I cut around it and trimmed it. And now I'm just taking my heat gun, and I'm going to go ahead and dry it with my heat gun, because that will take out any bubbles or wrinkles that might be in there. It just completely eliminates them. Works a lot like the ironing method. And now what I'm doing is I'm going over this with my decoupage medium, which was Fusion's transfer gel and their decoupage medium. So I use that to put it down, and I'm going over the top, and I'm doing this crosshatch motion because I always do that. It creates brush strokes, and it makes your whatever you've decoupaged down, it makes it look more like a painting. And I really could have skipped this step because I end up doing something else to it, and I didn't have to go over it with my decoupage medium, but I did because I thought I was going to leave it at that point, and then I kind of changed my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and dry it again with my heat gun. I usually always do that just in case I created any bubbles or wrinkles when I was putting my top coat on. I mean, you don't have to use a decoupage medium. You can use a top coat. You can use anything you want. So anyway, I go over it and make sure it's all nice and flat on there, and it's on there good. Then I decide I'm going to go ahead and use my two-part crackle by Pentart. And this is a solvent-based crackle, two-part crackle. I also sell Paint Couture's two-part crackle that is a water-based. So depending upon what you want, this is a little bit more fine line, but honestly, I can get pretty much the same effect with the Paint Couture crackle as well. So I'm just taking part one and I'm doing that crosshatch motion. The more you do that, the more brush strokes you're going to get. And this also creates finer lines, I find. It just, what it does is it somehow, that crosshatch motion, you get a lot finer line crackle closer together. If you don't want that, then you would not put it on like that. You would just basically put it on evenly. But I am still putting it on evenly. I'm not really putting big clumps anywhere. You don't want to do that because then it won't dry and it won't dry clear. This stuff has a consistency of like Elmer's glue, so it's kind of thick. So you need a reasonably stiff brush to get it on there. And so it looks like Elmer's glue basically, or Mod Podge when you get done. And you let that dry completely. I'm making sure that I dry all of the spots that aren't dry. Whenever I'm doing a video, I just about dry almost everything with my heat gun because I don't have time to wait for things to dry. So now what I'm doing is I am putting part two on after part one is completely dry. And you'll know that because it'll be translucent when it was opaque before. Now this has kind of a little brownish tinge to it, and that will dry completely clear as long as you put it on, pretty thinly, and well, not really thin. You want enough product on there, but you don't want it in pools anywhere. If you have a pool of it, where it's just sitting there, then you will see that. But it dries pretty much crystal clear, and you're going to go over it. It does dry very shiny. I like this to, especially if you want something to have almost a cracked porcelain look. But we're trying it on this decoupage because I just wanted to see how it worked. I'm just having fun. It's a new product for me. I've used it a couple times and I really like it, and I'm just having fun with it. So now this is one of the many thousands of frames that and I'm not exaggerating, of frames that I thrifted. I'm not crazy about these frames, but they are very nice wood frames. But I think they're a little dated. I cleaned them off with, again, alcohol, and I started to paint them, and I decided I wanted to put some salt wash in with this, and I usually, it's not a thick salt wash, I just put very little in it. Again, the salt wash makes your paint stick better, but it also is going to give it a little texture, and when we go later we're going to be adding wax to this. It gives the wax something to stick to. So I am going to go over this with this beautiful color, and this is called Juniper, and it's a beautiful, beautiful green color, and I go over the whole thing with one coat, and it has a salt wash in it, and it takes no time at all. But anyway, you pretty much have to assume that this has some sort of tannins in it, and then probably some sort of oil or stain on it, and this is covering it extremely well. It's sticking extremely well. So this part of the test seems to be going well. And this is how it looks after one coat. I want to make sure you see that. So you can see it covered extremely well. So now I'm going to go over it with a second coat and completely cover this up. And I'm adding salt wash again, just because mainly because I like the texture, not because I need extra coverage. I usually always do that on the frames that I paint over if I'm going to put wax on them, just because it gives the wax something extra to hang on to, and it has a nice effect, and you'll see that in the end. So this is going to be our second coat, and obviously this sticks very well to wood. Chalk paint in general will do that, but I will say that this is a very good quality paint. I'm not seeing any issues with it at all. It is not super thick, but it covers extremely well. So it doesn't have a lot of brush strokes in it, and you don't have to thin it out to eliminate the brush strokes. It goes on very, very smoothly. It very definitely has, a lot of the qualities that the Fusion mineral paint has, but yet it dries with a chalk style finish. And the reason that you would want a chalk style paint that doesn't have a top coat on it is, you can see what I'm doing is I'm taking a wet wipe here, and you can wet distress it, where you can't do that with the mineral paint, because once that paint is dry, you have to use sandpaper to get it off. Trust me, you practically have to use sandpaper to get it off your hands. This is definitely easy to distress with a wipe, and I'm going in, and it's not a super wet wipe because I had it sitting out for quite a while, so I'm just going in there and going into certain sections, and you can see I'm just wet distressing it. And a lot of times you want that look, and you want the super flat finish of a chalk paint. The Fusion mineral paint has a little bit of like a sheen to it. I wouldn't say shiny, and I wouldn't say as much as satin, but it's not as flat as this chalk paint is. Okay, so now what I'm doing is, after I have wet distressed it where I wanted it, I am taking my Fusion aging wax, which you will see I use an awful lot, and I'm going over the whole thing. Because our picture has kind of a moody vibe to it, I want to darken and antique this up a little bit. You could go the other direction and use like a white wax or something, if you wanted it to have a lighter look to it, if you had like more of a spring type picture in there. But I'm going for kind of more of a moody look, and I'm going to wipe back a lot of it, and you'll see you don't really see the texture so much that I put in there, because I didn't put heavy texture with the salt wash, but I put just enough to where it helps catch that wax, and I'm going to leave it in all of the definition of this frame, and of course any of the little crevices, and I'm going to leave some on the actual frame itself, and it's going to give me a completely different look when I have the wax on it. So that's one thing to consider on some of these colors. Sometimes on the brighter, lighter colors, you can change the look of them completely by the type of finish that you put on it. Okay, so now this is my piece, and you can see the crackle in it. There's a lot of glare, but you can see the crackle in it. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my heat gun and I am on a lighter setting. Don't do it too hot because you'll cause it to bubble. I mean, basically as warm as a blow dryer. You don't want it too hot, not even that warm really, and you don't want to get too close. And that will give you even more crackle and finer crackle. And now what I'm doing is I am taking my antiquing wax, and it is umber, and this is by Pent Art. So you want to make sure that you use a solvent type of top coat on this, or wax. You could definitely use your dark waxes on this, but do not use anything water-based. Do not even use a wet wipe to wipe this off with, because if you put any type of water on top of this, because this product is solvent-based, it'll gum it up really, really bad. And I have done that, and you do not want to do that. So you can use, I like what this wax does, or this antiquing wax, because it is I don't know, it's like it has a lighter feel to it, and I like the color of it, and it goes over this really, really well and sets in all those cracks. Now I will say you cannot see the cracks that well on a dark background, so you may not be able to see them as well as you would on a lighter background, but it's a really cool look if you're looking for that dark and moody old type of look to something, if you want to add that. So I'm going back over it. You have to be careful you don't wipe off too much, because you can, wipe away what you just put on. So anyway, I make sure I get it in all the cracks, and I'm going to put this in my frame, just making sure I have enough on there and that I don't leave any in any spots I don't want. And the important thing on this, like I said, is just don't put anything water-based on it. I did one with the right antiquing glaze, but then I took a wet wipe to wipe it off, and that ruined it. So be careful. Now I'm using my little tool. I love this thing. You've probably seen other creators get it. If you do very many frames, it's well worth the money. And I'm just going to go ahead and put my backing on there. I'll put paper on it in a hanger. And that's it, guys. I love this. I love the color combination. I think it turned out fantastic. And I wish you could see the crackle better. But anyway, that's it.
Oh, we're flying high underneath the sky. Summer nights and days in so many ways. Oh, we're flying high underneath the sky. Summer nights and days in so many ways. Laugh until we fall, dancing through it all. Magic never fades with each step we made.
Alright guys, so project number 3. This one, it ended up turning out completely different than what I thought it was going to. And I'm sorry about the little blurry start to this. It definitely clears up pretty quick, but I had some problems with my camera focusing for some reason, and I didn't really know until I went to edit it. So I am using the sunflower mold by IOD, and I'm going to be using the big part of the sunflower and basically the leaves and the stem. So you put a big chunk in there, and then you basically, because IOD has that rim on it, makes it super easy. I have a little brayer that I use that I smush my clay down in there, and then I take uh, basically one of the transfer tools I use to kind of take the extra clay off the back, and then I let gravity open it up. This is a very detailed uh, uh, mold. It's one of my all-time favorites. I bought it before I was even a stockist. I think I have a couple of them, and I have ordered some. Uh, it's very popular. It just really is. And we're getting into sunflower season coming up, and you can't go wrong with this. It's big. It's a big piece. So what I am doing is I am putting this on a piece that I thrifted from Hobby Lobby. And it's basically just a wall pocket that I got for like $2 and something cents in the clearance. Always check Hobby Lobby's clearance, because a lot of times you can get things there cheaper than you can buy them at the thrift store. And, you know, I mean, I find things there all the time that are shockingly low prices. So, yeah, just always check out where their clearance, because you might find something that, you know, you can work with and upcycle. So I am just putting my pieces on with some Titebond glue, and I am going to be using the smaller one there, and that is Marigold. Yep, Marigold. And it is a bright color. And they do have quite a few bright colors in this. So that's really kind of cool. So I wanted to show you that that is just one coat on the bottom there, guys. That is how much pigment is in this paint. And I wanted to show you how well it covers, the clay. Now this clay is still wet. It's not dry. I always cover my clay with one coat of paint and then let it dry for, a couple hours at least before I mess with it. So I'm going to go over this whole thing with one coat, and I'm going to let it sit for about an hour or two before I go on and do my final coat. But I just wanted you to see how vibrant this color is. And I've used a few of the other colors. I don't show you all here, but I will have to tell you. Great pigment, great coverage. Again, I did not put a primer on this, and I probably, if I use this, I would put a primer on it just for longevity. But I am not doing it on these projects because I am trying to experiment and see how well this paint works. I want to give you an honest assessment. I would never, say anything, or that it does something that it doesn't, or it is something that it's not. Anyway, so again, I'm using some salt wash. Now you can see, guys, that is one coat that I put on there, and now I'm going to go through and put my salt wash. I think it's one coat and some touch-ups in some spots. And the reason I'm using the salt wash is not for coverage or anything. I just want to go ahead and go up next to that mold. And it's been about a couple hours, so it's kind of sort of dry. And I'm trying to fill in any gaps that I may have with that mold, and the surface. And really, there really are not that many. And then I wanted to add some texture to this. And truthfully, if I had it to do over, I think I probably would not add the salt wash. But then again, I don't know. This whole project for me took a big turn. I thought that I was going to just keep it all this color and just put some white wax over it and call it a day. Just to, if you've ever used the white wax with a bright color, it always turns out great. But somewhere along the line, I just kind of changed my mind about some things, and that's how things evolve. So anyway, I go over the whole thing. I fill in all the little gaps that I see next to the mold. I do it a lot whenever I have a mold. I don't necessarily go over the whole piece after. I may just use the salt wash right up to the edge of where the piece hits the whatever surface it's on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to stipple it, make sure I get a little bit of texture all over. And then again, this is my final coat. I do the bottom and the back also. I don't always show doing that. So now what I'm doing is I am taking my white wax and I'm going over the whole thing because that was my plan. I was going to do that and just put some white wax over it. And now you tell me whether you think, you like it this way. So you can see pretty much this is how it looks. It doesn't look bad, not at all. But I just kind of felt like it didn't seem finished to me. So I started putting some Fusion aging wax just in the middle. And then I didn't like how that looked at all. So then I decided to go over the whole thing with the aging wax. So then now I'm committed to doing at least the sunflower. And then that doesn't look right. So then I decide, okay, I'm just going to have to go full aging wax. And I actually like that. I think it has, on that color, it has a very, I don't know, primitive look to it. And I could definitely see this being very Americana. I could see you mixing it with red, white, and blue, and I don't know. Anyway, so I kind of really, really like how the dark wax looks. So y'all tell me which one you like better. So I was going to leave it like that. But then I decided, I don't know, I was having a good time. So I decided to get out some different colors of paint. And this is a combination of Paint Couture and Fusion Paint. And I am just going over all of the parts of the sunflower with some different colors. Let me think. I think I used chocolate, carriage house, upper Canada, bayberry. I used lemon peel and pine cone. So those are all the colors I used on the sunflower. So I just kind of went back and forth, and while the paint was still wet, I just kind of blended them. I had a really good time. And now I think you can really, really see how beautiful this sunflower is. And I'm going to go over it. I think even more. I think I add more yellow to it. So there's two different colors of yellow on there right now. And now I'm going over the leaves, and I end up using like 2 or 3 different colors of green on there, just so that, I don't know, it just had more interest. And then I take pine cone and go over the middle of the sunflower, but then I realize that's not really dark enough. So then I take chocolate by Fusion. Pine cone was Paint Couture. I go over all of that, and now it looks right to me. And I kind of mess with the leaves, and I don't know. I should have left well enough alone at some point. I don't know. I put some Upper Canada on that. That's that lighter green, and it really did not go well at all. So then I went back. But that's the fun of it. We're supposed to be having fun when we're crafting, guys. So it is never ever that hard also whenever you're using these molds to paint. If you've already painted it a color and you don't try and meet all the way down to the piece itself, you're basically just putting paint on top. So it's not hard to do at all. So I take a little bit of that marigold and go toward the middle, and I'm blending it with the other paints. And I think that just makes it perfect. So after it dries, I go ahead and get some aging wax to go over all of it. Now some of the paint that I used was mineral paint, but some of it was chalk paint that needs to be sealed, so I just sealed it all. Plus, that had the added benefit of also defining that sunflower.
It's shining bright. Pack your bags, let's go. Feel the summer light. Chasing dreams, you know. Waves are calling now. Sand beneath our feet. Find the way somehow. Heartbeats in the heat. Oh, we're flying high underneath the sky. Summer nights and days in so many ways.
All right, project number 4. Okay, so this is another wall pocket that I had, and again, it starts out a little blurry, guys, but it straightens out pretty quick. I don't know what was going on with my camera. It was just not focusing. So I am using the Monarch mold by IOD, and I'm going to be using 3 of the butterflies in this. So I'm going to go ahead and just get some clay, and we're going to, obviously go through the process of putting the clay in there. Now this is not a very deep mold, so this is doesn't take much clay to do this. And I'm going to go through and do 2 kind of medium-sized butterflies and 1 larger. I think things always look better in 3s or 5s or odd numbers. And so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do 3 of these and pop them out and put them on the front of this wall pocket. I think I only paid a little over $2 for this. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put them on with Titebond glue, and it only takes about an hour for them to pretty much be on there, and not completely dry, but dry enough that I can paint them and use them. So I also will use my heat gun a little bit to just make sure that the castings are dry enough to work with them. You don't want them to still be soft, but you want them to be still a little bit not dry when you go to put them in the when you put them on. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put 3 of them on, and then we're going to go ahead and obviously paint this. And again, I'm going to be using the Alchemy paint, and I'm using Alabaster. And I absolutely love this color. It does remind me of crockery, the color of like a crock, an old crock. And I've got several, and I was kind of matching it with that. So anyway, I'm going to go over this, and I'm telling you guys, this paint sticks extremely well. Normally, I would go ahead and put some sort of primer down. Now, when I'm using the Fusion mineral paint or the Paint Couture mineral paint, it has a primer built in, so I don't put one on with those. But if I'm using just a regular chalk paint, I usually always put a primer down. I'm not doing it in these situations because I'm purposely trying to figure out if this paint is going to stick well to these surfaces. So anyway, I go ahead, and this is 1 coat, so you can see how well it covers. I mean, this is a lighter color, and it dries really quick. It goes on super smooth. I mean, I am very impressed, and I wouldn't say that if I wasn't. I just wouldn't probably say anything really, and I wouldn't have bought into this particular line. So that's 1 coat, and I'm going to go over it with 1 more coat. It only takes 2 coats to cover this. Look how beautifully smooth and how well covered that is with just 2 coats. That's it. Yeah, 2 coats. That's it. And you know, you might have some spots that you have to touch up or something, but I mean, it's it's very pigmented and it's not super thick to where you get a lot of brush strokes. So I'm loving this paint. So anyway, I have this decoupage paper, and I'm going through the process. I want to see how well the decoupage paper sticks to it. We've already done a mold that's stuck to a couple of them. So I go with my hand and I get the outline of the circle. I just kind of press around it. It gives me the outline, and I'm just going to cut that out. And this is going to go on the inside of this pocket. And I love this pattern. Unfortunately, the bird could not fit on there with it. I want the butterflies to be on there. And, you know, you see a theme here. So I'm just going to cut around it. And then this is rice paper. Of course, you could do like a organic edge or whatever, but I think I'm going to be able to get that in there pretty good. I go and I kind of dry fit it in there, and it looks like I need to cut just a tiny bit more. This works really well by putting it in there and getting the outline. You can get a pretty good fit to it doing that. So I'm going to do that, and of course this alabaster is a light enough color that I don't need to paint white behind it. In fact, it's very close to the color that is in this paper, so it's a good match. So again, I'm going to use my Fusion Decoupage Transfer Gel, and I will have kind of a starter strip on this, and I will go ahead and just kind of tuck that in there. The bottom portion is tucked in there, so I'm going to try and get this all in there without it messing up too bad. But again, rice paper is very forgiving. You just don't want to get it too wet. So after I get it on there and I press it all down, I go with my heat gun to make sure it has no bubbles. And now I'm using Fusion's Ultra Guard in matte. I love, love, love this stuff, guys. It's very, very easy and light to put on, but it is very durable. So anyway, this is Ultra Guard in matte. It really isn't, I wouldn't say it's completely matte. It's has almost like a satin finish. So anyway, after that dries, I'm going over this whole thing with my Fusion Aging because I want to bring out the details in those butterflies, and I kind of want to age this up a little bit. And then that's it, guys. That is our wall pocket, and I absolutely love this one. I think it turned out really pretty.
Sun is shining bright. Pack your bags, let's go. Feel the summer light. Chasing dreams, you know. Waves are calling now. Sand beneath our feet. Find the way somehow. Heartbeats in the heat. Oh.
Okay, project number 5. And this is yet another tin thing. I really didn't mean it to be this way, but it just did. I am using that same color, that beautiful color alabaster, and I'm going to go over this 2 times. It's all it takes. And just watch how smooth it goes on, and it coats one coat. Again, I'm not using a primer. I'm going to go over the whole thing and just give it 2 coats. And this is how it looks with 2 coats. Nice and smooth and beautiful. Isn't that a cool color? And now what I'm doing is getting some pieces out of the IOD Delft Traditions Azure. And this is an inlay that came out last year, which I absolutely love these pieces in this. If you're new to inlays, guys, this is a great inlay set to get because there's lots and lots of pieces to it and lots of small pieces that you can use, to practice on. So the way you do it is we're going to be putting some wet paint on there. You have to have paint or a top coat to lay it into to transfer this. And now I'm wetting the paint side of the inlay, and I'm going to lay it into the wet paint that I just laid down on the piece. I let the other two coats completely dry before I put that third coat on. And so you do have time to move it around a little bit when you first put it down. And I'm going to put it all down with my fingers, and then I usually take like a wet wipe or a paper towel and go over it just to press it down into the paint. You want to make sure that it's making good contact with the paint underneath or your top coat, or it won't transfer. Okay, and then I spray it one more time just to make sure that the whole thing's wet. And now I'm going to do the other side. And this is very easy to do. This is kind of a great piece to practice on. And my main reason for doing this is I wanted to try this paint out several different ways. If you've watched my channel, I don't like to put my inlays on paint that has a top coat built in because they don't tend to work that well. I rather just put them in regular old chalk paint. So I'm really excited that they've come out with this line of chalk paint. I want to check it out and see how it works on this chalk paint. Okay, so after it's completely dry, you'll see it turns kind of opaque like that. And then you want to mist it. And this is going to loosen up the paint underneath and allow you to pull up that inlay. And if you feel any resistance, put more water on it and let it set for a little longer. And look how beautiful and easy it transferred. So I would definitely say this is great. Absolutely fantastic that they have come out with this paint, because laying it in this worked amazingly well. Look how great that transfer came. I do think it makes a difference the paint that you put it in. You know, the easiest thing to put it in is chalk paint. Okay, so what I do after that is I make sure that inlay is completely dry and the paint's completely dry, and I will go over it with a clear coat, a spray coat, and then I will completely let that dry. After the spray coat dries, then I take a little bit of the alabaster, and you'll see like a little line sometimes around where the inlay ended, the paper on the inlay ended, and I usually go over that and just kind of with a dabbing motion, and you can get rid of it completely. So after I let that dry and I made sure my clear coat that I sprayed on was dry, I am going to go over this with the 2-part crackle from Pent Art again, and this is part 1. And of course I'm putting it on with like a crosshatch motion. And then after that is completely dry, I will go over it with my part 2. And the part 2 is that completely clear coat. And you don't have to put a lot on. It works without it being super thick. In fact, I think it works better without it being thick. So your product goes a long way. And again, I'm doing that crosshatch because I think that creates a smaller crackle. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but I've done it both ways, and it could be a coincidence or it could be I'm right on this, but you go back and forth and create that crosshatch motion, and then you need to let this dry. Now, I tend to let it dry for about an hour, and then I come back and finish drying it with my heat gun, because that I have seen in my experience gives more crackle and than if you just let it dry naturally. That's what I've noticed. So after that, I'm going over it with my Pent Art antiquing wax and umber, and you can really see the crackle on a lighter color. And I think on this thing looking like old crockery. I mean, so you could do this on any kind of like a glass, or you already saw that I used this paint on that first piece, those pieces that we did. So you could use this crockery on, you know, maybe a old cookie jar or old jar or something, and then use this inlay, and oh, it would look gorgeous. I just tested it out on this. I don't know why I picked so many pieces that were all metal, but anyway, and this is just one of those cheap Dollar Tree little buckets. Y'all have seen them. But I'm very, very pleased with how this turned out, and I think the inlay went on there magnificent, so I'm very, very pleased with this.
Dancing through it all, magic never fades with each step we made. Sun is shining bright. Pack your bags, let's go. Feel the summer light. Chasing dreams, you know. Waves are calling now. Sand beneath our feet. Find the way some.
Okay, project number 6. And yes, it is another 10 thing. Sorry, guys. But we're doing something different on each one. So that's the what we're doing. We're trying out different techniques on each one. So again, I'm going straight onto this. I mixed it before I got it. One thing I noticed too, guys, is that this doesn't really require a lot of mixing. I mean, I didn't see any separating at all. Uh, I mixed it just to be careful, but I saw no separating in the paint. So yeah, I mean, it goes on super smooth. Again, this is one coat, and this is called Storm. That's the color. Beautiful, beautiful blue. I think it would be a very good Americana color. And so I'm kind of going through my stuff that I have here, and I'm using a seed catalog. I think I have like a couple left. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. And IOD's out of them too. So, and I don't know when they'll be back in stock. I had bought a lot of these thinking that I had enough, but y'all like this, and I don't blame you because I like it. I use it a lot. So anyway, I am finding a couple of transfers. Now, here's the deal, guys. I have not sealed this. I have put 2 coats on. I have let them dry completely. And all I put is 2 coats. Look how beautiful that covers and how smooth it is. So, the word on the street is that you do not have to seal these to put a transfer on. And I'm telling you, when you use Fusion paint, oh, your transfers just glide off. So I want to see if Alchemy by Fusion works well without having, it's a chalk paint, and it, they're saying it goes right on, and I'm going to tell you guys, it did. It went on like a dream. It really, really did. I had a couple spots there where, because this is a rounded thing, that I had to go back. Had a little piece there missing, and then of course it had a couple bumps in there. But I am not kidding, guys. This went on like a dream. So it is definitely it distresses well. You don't have to seal it for a transfer. It works great on inlays. So, wow. Okay. It goes on super silky smooth. So, this is working for me, guys. Anyway, I love how this looks. A very Americana looking thing. I'm going to have like a little vignette Americana pretty soon. And I went over the edges and the handles with a little bit of red to give it a more Americana look. So I hope you like it. And this paint works fantastic with transfers.
Laugh until we fall, dancing through it all. Magic never fades with each step.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you need any of this new Fusion Alchemy or Fusion Paint, Paint Couture, Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, Pen Art, Decoupage, IOD, you can purchase it on my website, rehatchdesigns.com. The link's in the description. And it's free shipping over $50, flat rate shipping of $8 under $50. And also a 10% discount for first-time users. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will be seeing you again soon. I'm hoping to get another video out this week on Thursday, maybe Friday. So you take care, and I hope I get to see you guys in a few days, and you have a very, very good week. Bye-bye.
Sun is shining bright. Pack your bags, let's go. Feel the summer light. Chasing dreams, waves are calling out.